All right, welcome back to my nail corner. Today I have a start to finish look at Builder Gel application. So buckle up because it's a long one. So I have Soul Dip products today. I have their gel base and top coat, their Builder Gel and nail forms. It's clear Builder Gel. And I also have the brush / tool that they sell to go with this set. It has a spatula on one end, which is great if you're using dual forms or just other products that you might use that spatula for, like polygel, and that is the brush tip on the other end. So I am going to get started. My my nails are currently bare. I soaked off my existing Builder Gel to do a fresh set for you guys, and this is how I would prep. So in that brush-tipped cuticle oil type pen, I have Blue Cross cuticle remover. This is what I like to use to soften up my cuticles, and then I just take a cuticle pusher and I get any of the invisible cuticle off of my nail plate and just gently push back those cuticles. So doing that not only cleans off the surface of your nail of any invisible cuticle, which I don't have much of to show you because I just did this major soak off and clean up, but it also just pushes back that cuticle line. It gives you a nice rounded shape, and it just exposes as much of your nail to work with as possible. So I like to do that before I do my Builder Gel application or fills. And then after you use that, I highly recommend you either wash with like a Dawn dish detergent or dish soap to remove any oils or product like the cuticle softener from your nail, or you can use alcohol and a lint-free wipe if that's your preference. So because I'm trying to be on camera for all of my steps, I decided to use the rubbing alcohol. So just rub that over the surface. That's going to remove any excess oils or, like I said, that cuticle softener that we just used. Now this is a fresh brand new brush, so what I did is I took that lint-free wipe with that rubbing alcohol on it and just rubbed it in the bristles. That is just because the brushes tend to come kind of stiff, like hardened, and that just softens them up. You could just use water and let it dry, but I didn't want any water in my brush since I was going to be using it pretty quickly here. So my next step is a bonding agent. These are the two that I had on hand at the time, Mia's Secret Extra Bond and Young Nails Protein Bond. I highly recommend using one of these products under your Builder Gel application. This is going to help with adherence. So if you're like me, I use my Builder Gel as a base to my dip powder. So I use Builder Gel as a protective layer to my natural nail so that I can dip over it using peel base and then remove my dip powder easily and, let's be honest, frequently. And so I can do that and still have a layer of protection over my nails when I've popped the dip powder off. You only need to do one application of this. I tend to do two because I'm a little bit crazy and I want to make sure I didn't miss any spots, or just this, like I said, is my foundation. So I want to make sure it's going to stay in place and be secure. So I applied that bond. I don't really leave any drying time. Just what you saw there was real time. I just go right into what I'm doing next. I went ahead and opened up the Builder Gel. I really like the foam type seal on the top of this. Some come with like a foil top, so don't be alarmed if you see a different seal, but this one was like a styrofoamy type top, and it made it easy to wipe the excess Builder Gel right off of that. Now that part I would toss, and I guess you could slip it inside the lid if you wanted to, but I didn't feel the need to keep it. I keep my Builder Gel sitting upright. If you put this on its side, you're risking a leak, and I don't recommend that. So I recommend keeping it sitting the way, like it should, upright. If you have any around the edge, like I did when I wiped it off, just take some alcohol on a lint-free wipe or paper towel and wipe that off. It's very sticky, so you do want to have some rubbing alcohol or something to help you with that process. But the jar was nice and full, which is nice. You want to start out with a fresh, full pot of Builder Gel. So I am going to go in with my gel base. So again, steps, starting with your bonding agent, and then you want to go in with gel base. I find that, from what I know anyway, most builder gels require you to put gel base down first and cure it. The gel base is going to help with the adherence again to your nail, which is really what you want. You want this to stay put. So just apply a thin coat of gel base to your entire nail, and you're going to cure that for 30 seconds when you're done. So that being said, I will tell you, I made a mistake, and I didn't realize it actually until I was editing this video for you guys. So I skipped my thumb because I have a chip out of the corner of my thumbnail, and I thought, oh great, I'll leave that, do that last, and show you guys how to do an extension with builder gel and forms. So that will be coming up, but I wasn't thinking about it, and I thought that I had, when I got to my thumb, I thought I had put gel base down, and when I was editing this, I realized I stopped and I didn't do my thumb. So I fully expected that my thumb was gonna lift, and I'm a week later and it hasn't. So all that to say, I do highly recommend using your gel base first, but I do think that as long as you use a bonding agent like Mia's Secret Extra Bond or Young Nails, that you're gonna get decent adherence, because I'm not experiencing any lifting and I'm kind of shocked. So take it for what you will, but in a pinch, if you didn't have your gel base, definitely use a bonding agent, and I think that would be a fair substitute. So keep that in mind. So what you just saw while I was yammering on was I put just a little dollop of the builder gel on the tip of the brush. And what I want to explain to you is, it's hard to tell from this angle. On my next finger or two, I'm going to zoom in a bit more for you. But I wanted to give you an overall view for this first one. I'm not really brush stroking the nail. I'm what we would call floating the gel over the nail. So floating the product is basically just using your brush to push around the product rather than actually touching your nail surface with the brush. So with builder gel, I find that if you're doing actual brush strokes, you might get kind of bubbles in it, because I don't know, air pockets can form in the gel. So this is the easiest way I've found to manipulate the product over the nail. So it's just gentle little pushes, and builder gel is a really cool product. It moves where you want it to go, but isn't necessarily runny. So I don't find that I have a lot of overflowing or flooding into onto my skin or cuticle. It just kind of stays where you put it, and then it self levels. So what I'm doing right now is flipping my hand upside down, as seems obvious, but the reason I'm doing it is because gravity is going to pull that builder gel down, obviously, because that's how gravity works, and it forms an apex on your nail. So it's just going to naturally build in the center of the nail. It pulls it a little bit away from the sidewalls and the cuticle line, and just kind of forms that really nice apex in the middle of the nail. And that is what I love builder gel for. So there I am out of the lamp. What I like to do when I'm doing my whole hand is do a flash cure. So when you see the screen blink like it did a second ago, that means that I popped my hand into the lamp for about 10 seconds. That is not a full cure for builder gel. So if you're wanting to be doing a full cure, or you do all your fingers at once, it varies per lamp, I guess. So my lamp is 65 watts, and I would do 30 seconds for my builder gel. So I do a flash cure for each nail and then move on, and then when I'm doing my final nail, I'll do the full 30 seconds, and then I know everything got a full cure. So I'm just doing the same thing on my next nail, again just kind of pushing the product around. I like to start in the center of my nail and push it out towards the sidewalls and the cuticle, and then towards the free edge. So again, like I was saying before I did that flash cure, really just hanging your hand upside down for about 10 seconds pulls the product naturally into an apex on your nail, building the product up a little bit towards the center of your nail and pulling it slightly away from the sidewalls and the cuticle line. So that's just a really easy thing to do to really help your shape. And for me, I like to take the time with my builder gel application more than anything, because that's the foundation for all of my manicures. So when I go into my dip powder mani, I know the shape of my nail is already formed how I like it. And so my dip powder application, I find, goes just much quicker because I already have this foundation laid. And so it just speeds up my filing process after I do my dip powder application. It just goes so much more smoothly for me. That's my experience. And I love being able to use peel base. I don't have to use acetone to soak off my dip powder. And I know that if one of those dip powder nails pops off prematurely, like before I'm ready to go and do another dip powder mani, my nail is safe. I'm not going to break it because it already has this protective layer on it. So I am going to go ahead and let you guys watch as I finish these next two nails, and then I'm going to pop back in and talk you through a nail extension using builder gel and paper forms. So hang in there and I'll be back in just a minute. So now I am satisfied with those four fingers and the overlay that I have on them, and I'm going to go ahead and do the extension on my thumbnail. It might be hard to see, but I have a good chip out of the corner of my thumb because I removed my builder gel and went through the day knowing that it was a risk, and I chipped it, and I thought, well, good opportunity because I will show how to do a builder gel extension. So you want to pop your paper form off of the backing, and then you fit it right in under your nail and squeeze together the tips, and then move onward to move towards your hand to make it more secure. But what you really want is a flush transition from your nail to the form. So that's why I'm showing you at this angle. There's no gap between my nail and the paper form, because if you have a gap there, that builder gel is going to seep under your nail, between the form and your nail, and it just makes it like messy. So it gives you like a layer of builder gel under your nail, and then I don't know if everybody's like this, but I will pick at that until I actually like loosen it from the underside of my nail, and then what will happen is you'll literally peel off the extension. And like, who wants to put the work into an extension and then have that happen? So just make sure you keep that nice and flush, and when we get to that place, I'll tell you how I also try to avoid that. So I start out just building up the apex of my nail and doing the overlay like I did on all of my other nails first. So I'm going to do that right here, and then I'm going to do a flash cure for like whatever it was, 10 seconds. And then after I've done kind of the bulk of my nail, I'm going to fill in that little extension part. Now I tend to go not crazy, but I go for much further than I need to on the paper form. So I make the extension much larger than I need to so that I can file it down to the shape that I want. So in my experience, it's better to have more and file it back than not enough and have to go back and add more builder gel or put your form back on. So that's my like recommendation. So do the same thing, hang your nail upside down, let that apex form before you flash cure. And then, like I said, I come back and add the extension part. So I'm going to do that right here. And hopefully you guys can tell it's sometimes hard. You're working with a clear product and a white background, so it's sometimes a little bit hard to show on camera, but I'm going to do my best. So I've got a dollop of builder gel on there, and then that corner is where I want to repair. So I'm going to start on the nail and then go up onto the form more. And I like to also focus right where you're seeing where the form meets my natural nail on the sides. Again, I like to go bigger and then file it back. So I go a little bit wider than my natural nail so that I can file that kind of seam in perfectly. And I find that that also helps me not pick at the underside. And so again, just going right past the free edge of my nail onto the paper form. I don't really follow any of the lines and shapes. I think that if you are awesome and you can do that, then good for you. But I kind of do it sloppily and then file my shape afterwards. So personal preference, but that's how I like to do it. So then hang your nail upside down, flash cure, or in this case I think I did flash cure that, and then I might have added a little bit more to form my apex. So you want to gently pull at the underside of the form to release it from the builder gel, and as you can tell, it's a mess, or it looks like a mess, but trust the process. I promise you it will become beautiful. So now that I have the form out of my way, I'm just going to do a little bit more builder gel. I like to push it close to the cuticle, just make sure I covered kind of everything, and then make sure my apex is formed to my satisfaction. I do want to mention that though I find it valuable to cover as much of the nail as possible, I don't find the cuticle line and the sidewalls quite as important to me, because for me, the builder gel, yes, it's a foundation for my dip powder, but it's also protection for when I pop my dip powder off. Well, I don't really need a bunch of added strength at my cuticle line, right? Like the free edge is what I need protected so that I don't break it. So I find that until you get comfortable, like don't worry about getting too close to your cuticle line, because if you get it on your skin, you're going to get lifting. So I'd say it's better to leave a tiny bit of margin if you're not comfortable yet. So I just cleaned off my brush using alcohol on a lint-free wipe, and that's it. Then slip the cover back on and you're good to go until your next use. Now, builder gel has a tacky layer on it, just like gel base does. So before I go into my filing, I take alcohol on a lint-free wipe and just cleanse the surface of that tacky layer. So I like to use a dust collector when I'm filing builder gel in particular, because it's rather dusty. This is my Melody Susie dust collector. You've seen it before, but I will drop a link and a discount code in the description box if you need it. So I use a hand file to create the shape that I want out of that extension. So like you saw before, it was a pretty messy shape. And so I like to use a, this file is a 100-180 grit, and I'm using the finer grit side, so that's the 180 to file my shape. And then I'll get into a little bit of shaping the surface of the builder gel with a hand file, but then I'm going to get into my e-file. So I know not everybody has an e-file, so I want to show you just kind of like how I would go about it with a hand file. I love that the surface of builder gel is glossy when you're done, because that really helps me when I'm filing my shape. And hopefully you can see what I mean in a minute when I get into the surface, but as you file it, it turns like matte / almost like white. It's not actually turning that color, but obviously like the filing process changes the appearance. And so I find it makes it so much easier for me to see like where I still need to file, where there's kind of like maybe a bump or a transition or anything like that. So hopefully you can tell what I'm talking about in a minute. If not, you'll be able to tell when you do your own. That being said, I am taking my file sideways like that and just kind of buffing right around the cuticle line and the sidewalls. So I like to have a really smooth transition around my sidewalls. and my cuticle line just to make it nice and smooth. So as my builder gel grows out, I don't have like a big ledge to my natural nail. It's just a pretty smooth transition. And then I want to smooth out the surface so that any just kind of lumps or imperfections in that surface get smoothed out. Builder gel files so easily, you guys. So if you're familiar with dip powder, like sometimes you got to put some elbow grease into your filing. Builder gel, it files like butter. So it doesn't take a heavy hand. It's just a really gentle, you could use a buffing block if that's your preference. But I find more control in using a hand file that way. So now I'm going to get into my e-file. These are 2 bits that I highly recommend, especially for a beginner. They're just diamond bits, and they come with most e-files, I find. So one's a barrel shape and then the other one's like a tapered cone shape. Those are fantastic and do a great job with builder gel. This is a carbide bit that I've started using recently and I really like it, but it's a more aggressive bit in that it's easier if you're a beginner to use the diamond bits because they're just really, really fine. This one could easily like take a divot out of your builder gel, and then you're going to be stuck going back and adding more, and like who wants to do that? So I highly recommend the diamond bits for a beginner, and then as you get more comfortable, if you want to move on to a more coarse bit, then so be it. So you can just watch. I'm going to do this nail, I'm going to do my pinky nail on camera, and just let you guys kind of see how I like to shape my builder gel using an e-file. Very similar to dip, but like I said, I'm just real particular about forming my shape, forming my apex, how I want it to be the foundation for my dip powder. So I'm going to let you guys watch for a second while I file, and then I'm going to come back and wrap this up for you guys. right, so here we have the not finished, the filed surface of my nails. So once you're satisfied with the shape, I recommend either cleansing the surface again with rubbing alcohol, or washing your hands just with water is fine, but like rinse any of the dust off from filing. That's going to be really important to just have a nice clean and smooth surface, especially when you're going in with my next steps. Now, this is optional. So a lot of people that I know that use builder gel and then peel base just leave it like this. So matte finish, which is totally fine, go in with your peel base and then your dip base and dip application. However, I like to do gel base on top and then gel top coat because I like the slick surface. Now here's the difference. If you're using peel base and you want like 5 to 7 days out of your wear, then leaving it matte and going in with your peel base is probably the better route. I find that you get just more longevity out of the peel base if it's applied to a matte surface. I'm going to ramble on through this, but I'm just applying gel base to my nails. So as I said, if you have a matte finish, I feel like your peel base holds on a little bit longer. If you want easy pop off in a couple of days, maybe two to three, then I highly recommend going with the gel base and then gel top coat over your dip powder. That is because when I started out, I was doing it with just the matte finish, and then when I would try to pop off my dip powder, I would find it took a little bit more work and effort to get it off, and then I was prying it so aggressively that I would get lifting of my builder gel from my natural nail, and then you end up having to file back the lifting parts, fill that in, and because you don't want to get any moisture under there. Just like lifting with dip powder, you want to pay attention to your lifting, and if you have lifting, you want to repair that. So for me, adding that gel top coat before my peel base made my peel base pop off much easier. So I hope that was clear and not like confusing and murky, but I'm just letting you know that you have options, and sometimes it takes a little while to find kind of your preference in this process. So just know that there are a couple different ways to go about it, and this is just the way that I prefer. And I really like the glossy, pretty look that it gives my nails to have that finish on there. So I think that looks like really pretty and really healthy, and that's how I like it. So anyway, I'm gonna finish up like I do always with my Candi skincare. Thank you for hanging in there for this. I know this was a lot of information. Hopefully it answered any questions you may have about builder gel. If you have any more, please drop them in the comments and let me know. But yeah, I hope this was like a start to finish education for you on a builder gel overlay and a builder gel extension. I'm going to include a photo after this that's going to show after 1 week of wear and 2 dip powder manis that I have popped off, so you can see how this has held up for me, and I've had 0 lifting issues whatsoever. So I will see you guys in my next vid. Thanks for being here. Bye now.